So the next page gives these formulas. I'm going to suggest we just ignore this formula because he goes through kind of a rigmarole of how to get that. And these are the two formulas we're talking about for the future value, also known as the account balance. And here's the formula for the interest. So we have it in words up here and their symbols, have words here and then their various symbols. So let's apply this to a particular problem. So this kind of, I don't know, made up company maybe here, United Ceramics Incorporated, they want to borrow $2,000 and somehow they're able to get 4% simple interest. Notice they're only doing it for 3 months. So we could make a quick guess at what it would be. I don't know, like 10% of $2,000 is 200 bucks, and then half of that would be $100. So let's say in a 1 year period, they would owe maybe $90 on this, but we're only doing it for 3 months. So what? That's a fourth of a year. So a fourth of 90. Oh, no one wants to do that math. Let's do a fourth of $100. They're going to owe probably about 25 bucks. Well, let's do the exact calculation using the formula. So let's identify the things they've given us. The principal amount of money that we're borrowing is this $2,000. The rate is this 4%. So I'll write it as in percent form with the division by 100 to remind you anytime you're doing a calculation, you need to convert that percentage to a decimal. If you used 4 in this calculation, you would be borrowing a 400% interest rate, which is insane. Now, because it says simple interest, we know that we can use I equals P times R times T to calculate the amount of interest, and we just need to note the amount of time. Well, the time here is 3 months. Unfortunately, our interest formulas give time in years. So we need to figure out how many years is 3 months. Now, of course, you're probably saying, well, that's not even 1 full year, and I totally agree with you. So how many months are in a year? And the survey says 12 months, right? So 1 year is equal to 12 months. If you remember unit conversion from chapter 2 and unit 1, notice I wrote a conversion factor because I know 1 year equals 12 months. So these months cancel, and I just simply multiply across, and I get 3 years divided by 12. Well, this is either 1/4 of a year or 0.25 of a year. So when I want to calculate the exact amount of interest that this company will owe, I simply input those 3 numbers, the $2,000 that they borrowed, the interest rate of 4%, 4.25 of a year, and then I calculate. So I will grab my cell phone calculator and demonstrate using Desmos, which I hope you all are big fans of. And if you're not, I apologize. You're going to love it by the end of this course. So this is a free app. And I'm just going to type in the 2,000 times the 0.04 times the 0.25, and there's the interest. Oops, I was a little off, right? I said $25. It's really $20. But that's because I was estimating. I used 5% instead of 4%. Okay, let's try another example. So usually we pay these things off in these simple interest loans in monthly installments. Watch out, stores will do this to you. They will give you a credit card and then say, hey, no interest for 12 months, and if you pay it in full, and then, hey, just pay this amount each month and you'll pay it off at the end. And of course, you go and buy it with fake money, and you don't want to make the payments on it because you want to eat or whatever, and you walk home with a nice brand new computer. And in 12 months, you're going to owe $1,200 plus all that interest. Well, here's a biotech company. They're going to borrow $68,000. I encourage you, as you get comfortable with this, immediately identify the things you're seeing as you read through the problem. So I'm seeing that the principal, the amount borrowed here, is $68,000. They're buying lab equipment, and somehow they got an interest rate of 9%. It's simple interest, so that's wonderful. We don't want it compound interest, but 9% seems kind of high, but whatever. And then our time here, 1.5 years. Well, I don't know if you all remember this, but 2 divides into 1 0.5 times. So the time here is 1.5 years. That's the amount of time they're going to take this loan. So question 7 says, find the future value. Now notice they're not asking for the amount of interest. which is what we calculated in the previous problem, they're saying how much money is this company going to end up paying at the end of the loan. So future value is calculated by either of these two equations. It's A equals the principal plus the interest, or the account balance or the future value equals the principal plus, and then the formula for calculating interest. That's principal times rate times time. I'm going to use this second equation because I don't know how much interest they're earning. I have to do this P times R times T to get that I. So I'm just going to use the second one and get the whole thing in one shot. So I'll write it down and then I'll toss it into Desmos. We've got that $68,000 that we're borrowing. So that's the initial amount we borrow, and we have to pay that full amount back. And then we're going to add to it the amount of interest we're going to be charged for access to this money. So that's the $68,000 times the 0.09 times the 1.5. We'll just smash this whole thing right into Desmos, and we'll get our answer. So I'm typing in that 68,000, 1, 2, 3 times, oops, I want to do plus another 68,000 times 0.09 times 1.5. And there is our future value. In other words, the total amount of money that this company will pay to the loan sharks. So how much interest did they actually get charged? How much did they pay for this money, as another way to ask that question. There's two ways we can calculate that.